Hey there everybody, Matt here from the Planes, Trains, and Comic Books channel, and today we're going to review Orphans of the Impact Winter #1. But before we get into that, if you guys wouldn't mind sharing, subscribing, commenting, it really helps me out and lets me know what you guys want to see more of. So, with that being said, let's get straight into it. Alright, we got the cover here for Orphans of the Impact Winter #1, and it is by Lee Carlisle, Ross Carlisle, and Marina Goncalves. And we start off with two parents making dinner. Everything seems normal. We get a kid named Chuck playing in a treehouse, and his parents are calling him to eat. But we do see in the background that the moon has something wrong with it. We cut to 6 months later, and we see this kind of fun, colorful world that Chuck and his dog Addie live in. And they're going around and looking for supplies. And as they do that, they see the body of this bug alien person. So they figured they could go maybe search it and get something from it. But when they go to inspect it, they hear a noise, and they immediately hide. And it turns out that there's another person there also scrounging. But both Chuck and his dog and the other person are distracted for a moment by something burning up in the atmosphere. And we also see that the tone of the comic changes here as well. It's a lot more gritty and the colors are darker. And when we cut back to the stranger, he has stopped looking at the sky and he has seen Chuck and his dog. And that's where I'm going to stop it. I don't want to spoil anything else. Alright, full disclosure, I was contacted by Ross Carlisle and asked to review this comic because it is a new series that he's putting out. Issue 1 is already out, and Issue 2 is coming out May 22nd. And actually, he did give me Issue 2 as well, so I got to read that and get a little bit more context on this world. But I gotta say, this is a very interesting comic. And I was trying to show it off as we went through the art and pages, but you might have noticed that as Chuck is walking around, the world is kind of colorful and vibrant, and Addie is very cartoony, and so is he. But then whenever anything real happens, we are snapped out of Chuck's imagination and into what the real world looks like, and it is very drab and dark and pretty horrific. So I really like the switching of that tone. It creates a very interesting back and forth in the comic. And it also showcases the innocence of Chuck and really hits home that he is on his own and this is how he's coping with this hard environment to live in. I mean, it's even more sad when, on the first page we see his parents and they look pretty loving and like they care a lot about Chuck and being together as a family. And then 6 months later, there are no parents. It's just a boy and his dog. And that's kind of what I would call this comic. It's a mix of Calvin and Hobbes with the imagination of the child and the post-apocalyptic horror of the sci-fi story, A Boy and His Dog. I thought the storytelling was great, both in writing and in art. They meshed well together, and I like how the world is slowly revealed to us. And we're not sure exactly what happened. There's no breakdown of why exactly the moon is where it is and why it has a giant chunk out of it. But one thing that's universal in a post-apocalyptic world is other people are dangerous, and this comic pretty much establishes that as well, except it's extra terrifying because you just have a young child and his dog. As far as the art goes, I think this book kills it, especially when you're in Chuck's imagination. It's very colorful and vibrant. And at first I thought that the apocalypse had caused Earth to grow colorful or something, but then I realized, oh no, it is actually Chuck's imagination, especially when they noticed the stranger while scavenging, and all of a sudden the world became drab again. And that's about the time I realized what was going on with the art. It's a very creative and unique way to showcase the post-apocalyptic horror and really hit home that this is a child who's kind of helpless living in it. So overall, I thought this was a great comic, especially for independent creators. Like I said, I already read issue 2 that's coming out on May 22nd, and that was just as good, and it continues the story and just expands on it. So I can't wait to check out what happens in the rest of the series. So I'm gonna give this book a 4 out of 5. I thought it was really unique and very cool, and pretty dark when you actually think about what's going on in it. So if you saw anything you liked, I'll put the Amazon link down below in the description so you can check it out as well, and we will see y'all in the next one.